I think let's start with your city itself. Tell us about your city. It's a very interesting profile you have with respect to your city, Bareilly.
My city, Bareilly, is located in the western UP, and it has been famous for its culture in the past, for its zari embroidery, and it is also famous for its religious harmony and various religious communities. Important religious places are there, like it is known as Nath Nagari for the Lord Shiva temples in there, and then there is also a congregation of Muslims every year in Urs festival, and then there are some various churches also in Bareilly, and it is also an important archaeological site of the Vedic period. There is a site called Ahichhatra in Bareilly, which is very famous.
Why it is so famous? What's unique about the site?
Sir, the findings reveal us about the Vedic period, and there has been certain findings about the uh, I cannot recall the specific word. The gods and goddesses, their idols, and specific cultural findings make it very important.
You are saying that we found idols associated with Vedic age in Bareilly, in this in the
In the
excavation.
Ahichhatra site.
Are you sure about that?
Sir, as far as I can recall as of now, it is related to the Vedic period only.
Okay,
I will check upon that further.
that's very good. Do check on that. And one more thing, Aditya, you mentioned about Zari, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Lucknow is also famous for similar kind of art, that is Zardozi. Can you differentiate between both of them?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the specific differences between them.
Can you elaborate on the Zari? How what kind of a handicraft it is?
Sir, this embroidery is made on the borders of the cloths, especially the clothes worn by women, and uh, I'm aware only this much about that.
Okay. Tell us about your family.
Sir, my family, I have, I have my father who is a retired person, from SBI. My mother is a teacher in a government primary school, and I have a younger brother who is doing his graduation in B Pharma, and then it is me. We are a family of four.
Okay. Your father retired from which department? What did you say?
Sir, State Bank of India.
State Bank of India.
From Scale 2.
So if I compare between your father and your mother with respect to their job profile,
Yes,
what kind of a social security benefit your father has, and what kind of a benefits your mother is getting?
so as far as I am aware, SBI has a separate social security provident fund management. They have their separate provident fund management.
What we call it?
Yes, sir, I don't know the specific name about it, but I know that SBI has a separate provident fund system. Like, he is not a member of the public provident fund, and my mother is being an employee of the state government, subscribes to the public provident fund of the state government. And apart from that, there are various other security measures like maternity leaves that my mother used to get in the past, and there are some casual leaves, paid leaves also. My father used to get sickness rated leaves.
Okay, if I ask in a very specific way,
Yes.
Your mother is a school teacher in the government school, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are saying that she is getting the social benefits directly from the government. So can you specify, do she also get a pension benefit?
Yes, sir. She will get the pension benefit under the old pension system.
Okay, so Uttar Pradesh government is still following the old pension system?
Yes, sir. Two state governments recently reverted to the old pension system. They were Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan.
Okay. Can you tell me about new pension system?
Yes, sir. The new pension system is a contributory pension system in which the government and the employee both contribute an equal share, and this builds up a corpus at which gives pension at after the retirement period. And after the retirement, the 60% of the corpus that is collected, which can be withdrawn, and the remaining 40% has to be invested in annuities. And based on the returns from those annuities, the pension is received by the person.
So if I give both the options to your mother, that is, she can choose from the new pension system or EPFO benefits, what would you suggest her?
EPFO benefits.
If she has an option to
Yes,
choose among between both of these schemes, what will be your suggestion to her?
sir. Currently, she's a part of the old pension system. So,
I'm giving you a situation where she has these two options. What will you suggest and why?
sir, I will suggest her to go for the new pension system. I think
Why?
because it is generating higher returns because of the flexibility that is allowed to invest in the equity funds. In NPS, around up to 50% of the funds can be invested in equity, while in EPF, the present investment is not in the hands of the subscriber. The investment is done by the fund manager, and it is only restricted up to 15%.
So,
So it
are we
generates
aware
lesser
about,
return.
are we aware about the risk associated with new pension system?
Yes, sir, there are definitely some risks because the returns are actually linked with the market. So this creates an uncertainty about the returns that would be available in the future, but then it definitely generates higher returns. And also the risk profile shifts towards less of equity as the person moves towards retirement age, the allocation.
Or then why there are few states who has opted out of this new pension system?
So due to the low adoption of the new pension system, due to the risks associated with it, and the NPS is also not tax free at the at the state at the state of withdrawal. So
Tell me the
these
name of the states which has withdrawn from this scheme.
the Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan, they have adopted the old pension system.
Okay. Aditya, you also mentioned about your elder brother. What he is pursuing graduation, right?
So he's my younger brother.
Younger brother. All right.
Yes, sir.
So he's pursuing graduation right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically, your father is retired and your mother is, I guess, about to retire. So family responsibilities will be on you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what's your age?
So my age is currently 27 years plus.
7 years of age, and that's been around 5 years that you completed your graduation. What do you do in this time period? That is 5 years.
So after my graduation, I prepared for civil services, and I gave 3 attempts at UPSC, but I could not clear the main stage in all the 3 attempts. So I found that I was getting stuck in the main stage despite many efforts. So I gave this EPFO exam where I found that there was no subjective stage. And after being in the preparation for 5 years, now I need a job, and it is also important for me to support my family.
Yeah,
So
that's quite a good idea that because you have a family to support, and EPF will give you a good career progression also, and along
yes,
with that, looking to your gap in between, that is of 5 years, I don't think you
yes,
have good scope in private sector now. So it is going to be a good career option for you, right?
yes, sir, definitely.
So what kind of remunerations we expect from the EPFO, or specifically which comes with the profile of enforcement officer?
Remunerations,
Yes.
sir. Sir, as far as I know, the current enforcement officer's job is of level 8 with a basic pay of 47,600, and it also provides house rent allowance, DNS allowance, and various social security benefits. It also provides to the employee, like maternity benefit to the spouse and sickness related leaves, and there might be some other benefits which I'm not aware of specifically.
Okay. Hello, Aditya. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine.
Aditya, can you tell me any of your three strengths and weaknesses?
So my strengths are being hard work, first number one. Then being tolerant during my UPSC preparation. I think that I've become more tolerant and appreciative of different views. And the third would be honesty. And my weaknesses would be the major the major weakness that I feel is chasing. Sometimes I chase idealism and perfection, which often leads to failure because I try to achieve very high standards sometimes. Then another weakness would be sometimes I tend to think a lot rather than timely act upon them. And I find that sufficient, and I find that later I regret this thing. So as of now, I can think of only two weaknesses.
Aditya, where do you see yourselves 10 years down the lane?
So 10 years down the line, sir, if I get selected as an enforcement officer, I see myself as an assistant provident fund commissioner in EPFO, and I will be preparing for civil services during my job also because it is my dream, and if I get to achieve it, then I see myself in civil services in future, 10 years down the line.
Okay. You have mentioned that you like watching YouTube videos, yes?
Yes, sir.
Do you know in which year YouTube was established?
Sir, I'm not sure about this, but I remember, as far as I can recall, it was the year 2007.
Okay, and how many people have currently subscribed to the YouTube? Like, how many of people watch YouTube videos in total? Do you know a count?
Sorry, sir, I don't know about that.
Okay, and what type of videos do you watch on YouTube?
Sir, I usually watch a variety of videos. Sometimes they are educational. Then there are some entertainment related videos, and many of the videos are related to my other hobby, like singing Bollywood and devotional songs. And sometimes they are motivational videos also. And then there are some random videos that I watch for relaxation purpose, like some stand-up comedy.
Okay. And how do you handle criticism?
The criticism really as
If
in
someone,
general.
if yes, in general, if someone is criticizing you, how would you react?
Sir, earlier I was less open to criticism, but now I realize that I have become more open to criticism, and
What changed?
at the moment I try to understand the other's perspective.
What changed you?
Sir, I think that my UPSC preparation and studying about much gave me a much wider perspective. Earlier, during till my engineering period, my perspective was very narrow towards life. So after my UPSC preparation, I think that I can think more broadly, and especially due to my anthropology optional, I have developed an appreciation of others' viewpoints. So whenever somebody criticizes me, I definitely give an afterthought and think as to what was the reason behind the other person criticizing me.
Okay. And how do you handle a stressful situation?
In a stressful situation, first of all, I try to calm down because I know that only with a rational mind we can take good decisions, and in a stressful situation our rational mind does not work properly. So at the moment in the stressful situation, I first of all try to calm myself down and then think for some possible solutions to the situation.
Aditya, you have mentioned the devotional songs as your hobby. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
tell me any two lines of your favorite devotional song?
Yes, sir. So should I sing it?
You can just mention two statements. You
Okay,
can
okay.
reiterate them.
सर वन सॉन्ग इज राधे तेरे चरणों की अब धूल जो मिल जाए मेरी तकदीर बदल जाए.
Okay, who is the writer of the song?
Sir, I'm not aware of the writer.
Okay. So, can you elaborate what kind of a depiction here the writer is trying to establish with respect to the god?
Yes, sir. Sir, the singer wants to say that wants to appeal to the god that if I even get a glimpse of yourself, of your, then my whole life can turn upside down and it can improve manifold.
Uh,
That's the meaning of the takdeer badal jaye.
ओके आदित्य, सो मुझे एक बात बताओ, क्यों विद रिस्पेक्ट टू गॉड हमें क्यों डिवोटी, हाउ अ डिवोटी नीड टू बी दैट बीन downgraded or basically considered to be so inferior to the god that it will be equivalent to the dust under the feet of god? What kind of equality or what kind of devotion it is towards the god?
So this kind of devotion has been mainly originating from the bhakti movement of the medieval period, in which love and devotion towards the god is promoted, and in that movement we do not see an equality between the devotee and the god. God is always placed on a higher pedestal, and this relation involves a lot of awe and respect for the god. And this is also this also originates from the philosophy, Indian philosophy called Vishisht Dvait, I think, in which it is assumed, in which it is said that the human and the Paramatma, they are different and they cannot be the same. And the only way for salvation for the man is devotion towards the God.
See, but I can see in these devotional songs, no, that is either they are or projecting the patriarchal setup, or either they are considering the subservience of his devotee. So, don't you think it is a reflection of the society and the evils of the society?
Yes, sir. I think that everything in our culture, in a way, reflects what happens in the society, because it is culture. It is only just a part of culture. The songs that we see, even the devotional songs, are just a part of culture. So, in a way, they reflect the hierarchy that has been characteristic of our society, and we can also see this in the polytheism that is practiced in Hinduism, where the different gods are placed on a different pedestal, and even we see a hierarchy in terms of the gods also.
Don't you see it is a big concern with respect to the stature of women specifically? And you are from Bareilly. So in Bareilly itself, we see this is kind of a discrimination against the women. And when we talk about the women's participation also in workforce, the similar kind of patriarchal setup is hindering their participation in specifically the formal employment.
Sir, I could not get your question.
See, when we talk about the women's participation, the patriarchal setup which we have specifically in the Uttar Pradesh area, that is affecting their participation in formal employment.
Yes, sir.
Right? So, don't you think that it needs to be changed?
Yes, sir, definitely it needs to be changed. And especially in the northern Indian states, the patriarchal system has been highly prevalent. Although in the recent past it has been changing. So it is an age-old institution which developed out of some natural circumstances due to our economic structure. When we became an settled agricultural society from earlier hunter-gathering society. So it developed over a period of 1,000-2,000 years. And we have been trying to change it over the past 100-200 years. So I think in that perspective, see that the progress has been quite substantial. However, definitely much needs to be done on that front. And indeed, the government is doing many things on that front to increase the...
Give me two examples of a government's step with respect to this.
For women?
Yes.
Yes, so one major scheme is Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Andolan, in which the main focus is to improve the sex ratio at birth and also to promote girl child education. And another is Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, under which also there is there is an encouragement to the parents to encourage birth of girl child.
Okay, thank you.
Hi Aditya.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
So I'll be asking you questions related to your educational background. All right.
Yes, sir. Okay.
You did your electrical engineering in 2017, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between electrical and electronics?
So electrical deals mainly with the large scale application of electricity, and it involves instruments where we have an application of high voltage and low current. And electronics mainly deals with small scale applications of electricity like microprocessors, transistors, chips, and there we have a high current and low voltage.
So are you saying that the smartphone that we are using it has high current and low voltage?
Yes, sir, relatively high current and low voltage, because in the smartphone and the adapter that we see, the adapters usually we use are of 1 ampere, 2 ampere power supply current. But actually 1 ampere and 2 amperes is much when we see at the level of electrical instruments like fan or cooler, these kind of electrical instruments.
Okay. Are you aware about synchronous motor, induction motor?
Yes, sir, I read about them during my graduation. I studied them in detail, but due to being out of touch of them for a long time, so I'm not very particular on these details.
Okay. Are you aware about the energy sector in India in general?
Yes, sir.
Do you know the problems that the energy sector is facing in India?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me some of them, please.
Yes, sir. So there are two main energy sectors: the non-renewable energy sector, which is mainly dependent on coal. So there are problems in thermal power generation, like the recently saw the coal shortage all over India in the summer season due to disruption of coal supply. So that makes us, and also we are highly dependent on coal imports, and which makes our thermal power generation vulnerable to external shocks. And in the renewable energy sector, there is a main problem about energy storage. And the second problem is stabilizing the power grids, because the renewable energy is mainly less reliable, and that creates some disruption in that creates a problem in integrating it with the power grid.
Okay. So what are the problems that the renewable energy faces? Why would you say that they are facing some problems?
Sir, there are some certain technological. Yes, sir.
Why are they less reliable according to you?
Sir, they are less reliable because, like when we consider solar energy, it is dependent on seasons and the time of the day also. Like in Rajasthan, we get good solar energy, but this does not happen in all the areas. It is also like we consider wind energy. Wind energy is also reliable, not less reliable, because it depends on the local wind conditions. So in general, the renewable energy has been less reliable.
Okay. And you're from Uttar Pradesh, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me two problems that the state is facing right now.
Sir, right now the major problem that I see in UP is lack of adequate industrialization in UP, and this is especially prevalent in the eastern part of UP. And the second problem I would see as prevalence of a higher level of fertility rate in UP,
So
which is still contributing to the rise in population.
So you're saying there is a problem of overpopulation?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware about the population of Uttar Pradesh?
Yes, sir. It is currently around 19.9 crores as per the 2011 census.
Higher fertility? What is the fertility rate in Uttar Pradesh?
So the last data that I remember is at that time the fertility rate was 2.7.
2.7. And what,
Yes,
which data you are referring here?
So it is of NFHS 4. that was conducted in 2015-16.
Okay.
Okay. So, are you aware about the industries of Uttar Pradesh? Are you aware about the industrial sector that is present in Uttar Pradesh?
Yes, sir. I have some idea about them.
Please comment on the famous industries.
On the
Famous industries, the important
on the
industries.
famous, yes, sir. The famous, when we talk about the famous industry, there is a leather industry in Kanpur, and glass industry in Firozabad, then marble industry in Agra region in the western UP, and uh, in Bareilly we have the bamboo industry, and towards the eastern UP in Varanasi we have cloth industry, which the Banarsi sarees are very famous, and towards the southeastern UP the carpet making industry is famous, and stone mining and quarrying industry is famous.
And the famous crops, the important crops of Uttar Pradesh.
So the important crops are wheat, rice, sugarcane. These are the three main staple crops. And then there are various vegetables that are grown like potato and the other rabi and kharif crops. And some zaid crops like watermelon are also cultivated.
All right. Let's turn to the accounting now.
Okay.
What is accounting?
So accounting is a process where the 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 funds of a company, the financial statements, the financial transactions of a company are recorded, and they are analyzed and presented to the various stakeholders for use by them.
And what is the difference between finance and accounting?
So accounting is mainly related to the keeping of accounts and presenting that information to external and internal stakeholders for use. But finance includes the various kind of activities like the financial institutions that they carry, like lending, taking deposits, providing insurance services, and they are mainly done by financial institutions. Accounting is done by every organization which carries any kind of business. Like a business would not be engaged in finance, like a small shopkeeper would not be engaged in finance, but he would definitely have to maintain his accounts properly.
What is bank reconciliation statement?
Sorry, sir, I don't know about that.
Okay. What are the 3 golden rules of accounting?
Sir, I've read about that, but I cannot recall it as of now.
Okay. Are you aware about the entity concept of accounting?
Entity concept. Yes, sir.
What is it?
Sir, the entity concept means that the business entity, the accounting is done based on the business entity separately. It is considered as a separate legal entity in itself, which is different from the stakeholders like the shareholders from which are part which have who have invested their funds in the entity. So this is what I know about that.
Okay. One last question from my side is that how would you reconcile your engineering degree with this job that requires a specialization in law as well as accounting? How would you justify your presence here?
Sir, as far as I know, requirement of law and accounts was only a desirable qualification. It was not an essential qualification for this job as mentioned by UPSC. The essential qualification is graduation, and I think that I am eligible for that. And as far as using the knowledge of my engineering is concerned, I do not see a specific role of electrical engineering in my job, but definitely it has 4 years of electrical engineering has given me a perspective which will help me in EPFO, like bringing new technological innovations whenever and giving recommendations about the same to my seniors whenever I feel and whenever I'm able to find that there is some scope of improvement. And it also gives me an analytical perspective, which I can use in EPFO.
Analytical perspective in what sense, Aditya?
Sir, in analyzing how can we reform the organization of EPFO, how can we better address the problems like the current issue in EPFO about the interest rate problem in EPFO. The recently the interest rate in EPFO has been reduced to 8.1%. So how can I can provide some inputs perhaps in the future about how we can generate higher returns from the funds that EPFO invests.
Not understanding my question. My question is, you have a
Yes.
background in engineering.
Yes, sir.
Saying that you will help you in a better analytical way in this organization. How would it help you? What did you learn in your engineering that days that helped you developing this analytical skills?
So main thing was the problem solving skills that we developed in engineering, and before that, I think that will help me. And the approaching any problem in a structured form, identifying the problem, the various constraints that we have, like we used to solve problems in engineering. So that approach, I can think that it will help me in EPFO.
See, Aditya, you mentioned about that you have very good analytical skill. So here is a notification by Uttar Pradesh government, which basically limit the working hours of women uh, with respect to only daytime. Analyze this
Yes, sir.
situation, how this notification going to impact the participation of women in uh, the labor force.
So this notification by the Uttar Pradesh government was given to improve the workplace safety of women, and but it will adversely affect the labor force participation of women in the economy, which is already low in specifically in UP. And this kind of a notification, although it is taken with a good intention, but it tends to go in the negative direction, because by passing this kind of notification, we tend to recognize that there are safety problems for women, and we do not address them from the police and investigation side. And we are trying to prevent women from going out in odd hours, and this will be a negative trend for the future.
Okay, so don't you think it is a failure of the government, instead of providing a social security and safety to the women, they are just changing or amending the laws so that they are just bypass the requirement or their own responsibility with respect to the women's safety?
Sir, it will, sir, I definitely see a lack of foresight in this notification, and because it goes in the negative trend, and instead the government should focus on improving the law and order situation and improving women's safety. However, the UP government has also taken some measures for improving the safety of women, like the Mission Shakti in UP for safety and empowerment of women, and it has also launched women help desks at every police station in UP.
What is the number of women's helpline?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of it as of now.
Okay, and when UP government has notified these rules, basically they are amending which act?
I don't know about this.
To simplify the thing for you, tell me which of the act of with respect to labor laws deals with the working hours of children, adolescent, and women?
Sir, it is Factories Act.
Factories Act. Can you elaborate on that? What are the working hours for adolescent, children, and the women? No idea. Aditya, can you hear me? Aditya, can you hear me? All right, Aditya, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
चलिए देखिए आदित्य, first of all, tell me about your observation. What weakness or what thing you see where you were not being able to answer the question or your interview not went fine?
Sir, sir, I see that I was not able to answer questions related to my electrical engineering, which I was not able to prepare properly. And there was also weakness in me answering accounting questions. I was not aware of some of the things because the accounting part I have not been able to revise. However, it is only of 5-6 pages. I will revise it soon.
When is your interview?
Sir, it is on 27th July.
27th July. So
Yes,
you have sufficient time for that. So do revise your accounting and definitely your labor law and industrialization also. And why we are not able to give any answer with respect to social security?
social security.
Okay, your father retired from SBI, na? So you could
Yes,
have
sir.
mentioned the name of that the fund which is otherwise your the SBI provide. Or are you sure your mother is going to get some retirement benefits or pension benefits?
Yes, sir.
I don't think so. एक बार check कर लेना उनसे. ठीक है?
Okay, sir. She is registered under the old pension scheme, so she has always told me that she will get the retirement benefits.
अच्छा, so then just confirm with her. देखो, when I ask you question with respect to women ना, or
Yes, sir.
women empowerment and also in that side you are not able to give any correct answer. Even your approach was not right. So उसको थोड़ा सा workout हमें करना पड़ेगा so that you can have a right approach. And with
Sir, was it specifically with respect to the UP government notification?
no, there also you gave a wrong answer. Okay, you not need to take or contradict the government here. Okay, you not need to take sides. See, when you say that you mention a line that it's a lack of foresight from the of the government. That's not
Yes,
a correct approach to answer this question. You just simply say that they have taken this decision based on the based on the given situation with respect to the security, and the notification also says, I think you are not aware about the notification. The notification also says that if the industry can provide that kind of a safety security, then they are allowed to have night shift for the women. So you should at least cover up the current affair part with respect to the.
Yes, sir. I was not aware of the notification in detail.
So basically, we haven't covered the current affairs. ठीक है, तो work on your current affairs so that specifically regarding the labor laws and IR. So उस पे you need to work. Accounting definitely, as sir has asked you many questions, so you are not able to answer those things. ठीक है, तो accounting is the area where you need to definitely work on. There are some good answers also with respect to labor laws, but accounting में तो basically you are not able to give any correct answer. ठीक है.
Yes.
And when I ask you your why you basically it was an indirect question when I asked you about your role or how you see this profile of an enforcement officer with respect to remuneration. So while mentioning all other aspects, all other benefits, you should also mention that it will also give you an opportunity to serve the wider section of the society or the marginal section of the society. Okay, so that
Yes.
that concern for the society should be there. It should always be there because you also give a contradictory answer to Akshay sir when you said that in 10 years you want to see yourself in the senior bureaucracy, something like that. Okay, so civil services. So basically, it is kind of a contradiction that the panel will see it like this: ki you are preparing for other examination, and EPFO is your plan B. Okay, so you will look for other opportunity and you will immediately quit this job whenever you get the any other good profile. Because
yes, sir. Sir, I was confused about this question. Sir, how can I answer this kind of question? Like, how do you see yourself 5 years down the line or 15
when
years
they are
down the
asking
line?
you 5 year or 10 years, So you cannot be very specific about the area where you are going to be appointed, है ना? So we cannot mention about कि भाई कौन सा profile आपको मिलने वाला है. Instead of that, you should approach in different way कि भाई I want to see myself at that position where I can serve larger section of the society. ठीक है, and where I have the role of decision making or policy making. So you can take that approach. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे सिविल सर्विस भी नहीं आएगा, EPFO भी नहीं आएगा और आपका आंसर अच्छा हो जाएगा.
Okay, thank you, sir.
तो along with that आपको जो I guess हमने शायद क्वेश्चन पूछा था with respect to the hierarchy in EPFO, तो वो क्लियर होनी चाहिए कि how this hierarchy works, कि after what kind of promotions are there. ठीक है, तो that you should be very much clear with that. हमने cover up किया है, hierarchy क्लियर है, आपको structure क्लियर है EPFO का?
Yes, sir. Sir, you did not ask any question about hierarchy of EPFO. But I have, yes, sir. From enforcement officer level to the CPFC level, I know about the basic structure.
ठीक है, so this is the area where you need to work. कुछ ऐड करें?
Electrical engineering का भी पढ़ के जाइएगा. Please do study about the electrical engineering because it is your background, educational background, and there are questions related to that.
Sir, electrical engineering, sir, I have a problem that there is the electrical engineering syllabus is very huge. So I don't know in such short time how do I prepare it and which topic should I focus?
At least study the general studies related topic, like what are the problems related to that. You did not mention about the distribution companies' finances.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I forgot to mention about that point.
And even when you were telling about the coal shortages, you were saying that we are highly dependent on coal imports.
Yes, sir.
Our domestic production is very much significant and we are dependent on imports, but not that significant. So, correct your factual and do study about the general studies aspects of the electrical engineering.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Aditya, with respect to your hobbies, you gave a very good answer in that context. So that's that side is prepared. So they may ask you some of the singers, popular singers of Bhakti movement के, they can ask you some saints also. ठीक है, तो मीराबाई के regarding या कबीर के regarding. You are from Bareilly.
Yes, sir.
Bareilly के I can't recall any specific name from there, but at least वाराणसी वगैरह के जो names हैं of Bhakti, you should prepare. ठीक है, 2-3 दोहाज और दूसरी बात की चौपाई वगैरह वो थोड़ा सा देख लेना आप. ठीक है, let me ask you with respect to that. And there are 3 more observations here. One is with respect to your guests. You are taking guests without any permission. ठीक है, so you took permission in between, but otherwise generally you are not taking permission while guessing. ठीक है, तो
yes, sir. With regard to these guesses, I realized that I had a problem that I don't know that when I'm not sure about something. So, but then I want to answer that question also.
All right. So here is an example. For example, when you are giving the answer with respect to the UP government notification, so yes, you could say because you haven't read it. So simply say that as per my knowledge, this is your answer, and then you say ki, I'm guessing here, or this is my guess. I don't have the holistic picture. Okay? So you can put in this way, or otherwise, if you don't have the answer, that you don't know anything about the notification, just simply say that you don't have this, you are not aware about this notification. You will read on that.
Or if you have slightest of the idea, just ask the permission from the panel that, sir, I'm not sure about it. Do I have the permission to make a guess?
That will be a proper way. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, in many of the questions I did say, sorry, sir, I don't know, where I was very clear at that.
So that is
that I don't know the answer. But did I make some wrong guesses? That
yes, that
I was not aware of.
There are number of answers. So you will get the recording. You can see yourself. Okay, but other guys you already know now.
So I will need to work upon that consciously because I think that I did not. I'm not aware where I made wrong guesses.
Yes, but try to cover all the basic aspects. Try read your deck, prepare all the keywords which is given here, and then you not need to guess that much. But if yes, then you should take the permission, and that will resolve one more problem, which is that you are giving long answers. ठीक है, तो वो problem भी resolve हो जाएगा. और थोड़ा एनर्जी के साथ यू शुड गिव आंसर, ठीक है? अभी एनर्जी काफी डाउन चल रहा है आपका, बहुत डाउन एनर्जी के साथ अपने आंसर किए, तो यू नीड टू वर्क ऑन दैट आल्सो। एंड व्हाट अबाउट योर बियर्ड, यू आर गोइंग टू हैव इट और शेव करोगे?
No, sir. I'll get a haircut and shave कर लूँगा.
ओके, दैट्स गुड। और हमने बिल्कुल साइलेंस नहीं हो जाना, अगर कोई आंसर नहीं है हमारे पास तो साइलेंस नहीं होना है, ठीक है? आइदर आस्क द परमिशन फॉर गेस और अदरवाइज जस्ट मूव टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, जस्ट आस्क टेल देम दैट यू डोंट हैव आंसर।
Okay, sir.
ठीक है? इफ you want to think over any question or you want time for analyzing it, so ask for the permission, ठीक है? बिकॉज अगर साइलेंस हो जाओगे तो फिर उनको भी नहीं पता कि अब आंसर आने वाला है कि नहीं आने वाला, और इतना टाइम वो देंगे भी इंटरव्यू।
Okay.
ठीक है? बस यही चीज है, बाकी कोई बड़ी चीज हाईलाइट करने के लिए नहीं है, छोटी छोटी सी चीजें, यू विल बी डेफिनेटली एबल टू वर्क ऑन दैट। सो
Sir, any major issue that I need to work upon that
मेजर इशू
that might create a big problem?
नहीं, 2-3
Any major problem that could cause disqualification?
नहीं, ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं है। जस्ट बी अवेयर अबाउट योर डैफ, आपका एकेडमिक्स थोड़ा सा देखो, जो सर ने आपको हाईलाइट किया। अकाउंटिंग और लेबर लॉज के जो करंट अफेयर्स हैं वो थोड़े कवर अप कर लो, एंड करंट अकाउंट अफेयर्स इन जनरल लॉज, ठीक है? बाकी आपका एस्पेक्ट ठीक है, यू आर। और अपना डिस्ट्रिक्ट और स्टेट के भी कुछ गलत आंसर दिए तो उसको भी एक बार देख लेना।
किसके?
आपका स्टेट जो है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट और स्टेट आपका,
Yes, sir. District and state.
हाँ, तो उसको एक बार थोड़ा सा कवर अप करना, ठीक है? 27?
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. 27.
ओके,
27 July.
ठीक है। कोई और क्वेश्चन आपका?
सर और क्वेश्चन? ठीक है,
चलिए, ठीक है, फिर बेस्ट ऑफ लक फ्रॉम